Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. It's time once more for our weekly painting progress, and by weekly I mean bi-weekly this week because I was totally zonked out with a nasty migraine last week, so you're going to get a double dose of weekly painting progress. We're going to start off with what I painted the week before. This is an Artisan Guild Orc and is very much in a World of Warcraft style aesthetic, and I don't know, something about it I really liked. Got like a flail axe thing going on. I don't know what these are exactly on his back. Are they spikes? Are they bone? Are they metal? Whatever they are, they're painted up in metallics. So, detail-wise, really clear. It was really easy to paint. I had a lot of fun actually painting this, and I continued to enjoy every one of the Artisan Guild models that I have had the pleasure of painting. So he is not the only one this week. He is joined by this giant bat dude. And he's really quite tall. Small base, which I guess is the only downside, and otherwise he's a little top heavy, but quite nice. And to go with him, see if I can get them both there, I grabbed a bunch of these Rune Wars Berserkers. And they were just a quick paint job with basically contrast paints. And the funny thing is, I thought I painted more, but I guess those are the only three with me right now. The funny thing about these is they ended up almost color for color exactly the same as the Fantasy Flight studio colors. That was not intentional, and I did not realize that at the time I was actually painting them. But they came out pretty nice with the contrast stuff. I think my favorite, though, is the standard bear here, who's literally got, like, giant spine growths growing out of his back with the flags attached to it. So like I had said, I think I posted a video about a bunch of the Rune Wars stuff I picked up on the cheap, since Fantasy Flight can't stick to one game and have gaming ADHD, much like Spartan did once upon a time. I picked up a bunch of these with the idea of using them all as Flesh Eater Court stand-ins for Warcry, and probably the big dude in the back as some sort of courtier that they have. Vargeist, something. I don't remember. Alright, besides those, last week, we're not going to include this week, just to be fair, I got a couple of slads done. These are deep cut models from WizKids. These are gray slads, so they're various shades of gray. Not 50 shades of gray, because that would be uncomfortable and awkward with weird amphibian intradimensional monster creature things. Then there's this one I did up a little bit darker. Just real quick paint jobs. Easy enough. And they look ready for the tabletop. So that's what I did the week before. Kind of busy anyway. This week was focusing on trying to get a bunch of big stuff done. And that I did. We'll start with the biggest. Ta-dun. This is the Minotaur General from Zealot Miniatures. And he is just, he's big. That's a 60 millimeter base he's on, not even a 50. He's got a lot of presence. And to accompany our general, we got the Juggernaut that was recently released, finished up as well. He was started around the same time as those Berserkers from Rune Wars. And he's the same kind of base coat for his skin. And I don't know, I'm not 100% sold on it. Like, I like how the general's skin tones turned out. And when it comes to painting Minotaurs and wolves, for whatever reason, I tend to just pick a light and dark variation of either grays or browns and just roll with it. It's okay. I feel like I'm not doing the sculpt any justice. Now, he had a 60 millimeter base too, but I ended up putting him on a 50, and I think it's because I actually put the general on his. And it's not like I don't have a surplus of bases laying around or anything. That's just what they ended up on. In addition to that, we have Renard Running Shot, if I remember his name correctly, which is always a challenge with these models because I paint a ton of them, and then I start them, and then I forget about them. And this guy was actually like one of the very first models I think I ever showed off on Obscurities in miniature, well over a year ago. He is from Legends of Signum, if you are curious. And definitely callbacks to the wolfen hunter that came in the wolfen starter set for confrontation with the rifle as well. Nice model. See him there. And to continue with the wolfen tradition of just right now, we have the Wolf with No Name. This is from Privateer for their Riot Quest game. I think I showed them off pretty recently. I have yet to actually have a chance to play Riot Quest, but I am continually enjoying the models as they are released. They are definitely callbacks to a lot of the stuff from the Iron Kingdoms and Privateers games, and I want to say that there might actually be rules for them elsewhere where you can use them in their other mainline games, Hordes and War Machine, but definitely he has his intended use in Riot Quest itself. The only downside is, and he's on a 40 millimeter base, he's just a little too short for my taste. You can see he's kind of hunched over there. It would have been cooler if he was a little bit taller. Just a little bit would have been nice. And let's see, okay, here's something really obscure. This is one of the boss monsters from Darklight Memento Mori. And originally he comes in the box game as a token. And there was a boss pack of models released during the initial Kickstarter from Dark Ice Miniatures. I don't remember. Darklight Memento Mori is the game. Anyway, the game was pretty cool, very much in the vein of Warhammer Quest. And for whatever reason, I got offered a ridiculous sum of money for the game, and I just wasn't playing it as often as I'd like to. Not a knock on the game itself. It was actually a lot of fun. Very much a Dark Souls-esque, Warhammer-esque Quest style game. But I kept the boss pack for whatever reason. And that's where this guy came from. So the only way to get him was during the initial Kickstarter, because I don't think they've ever had any other models available of him. And they seem to have sold out completely. So he is definitely an obscurity and a rarity in that regard. You can see here. The guys in Darklight were actually pretty big too. And if anything, if there was ever a game that would really deserve to have a 1.5 version come out, it would be that. I really liked it, and I would like to see it reach more people and get a chance to get played. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, so this week we got 2 random Mantic models done. This one is the old Slayer, Berserker, whatever they want to call him, with the weird haircut, and it looks like it's kind of melding into the back of his cape. Maybe it is. I don't know. I've always wanted to paint him, and I'm glad I did. For an earlier Mantic metal, he's pretty decent. Not the most complicated paint job. This is a more modern one. He was part it. Maybe it's a she. I don't remember. This was part of their Kings of War campaign, and I want to say there might be rules for this model in Dungeon Quest, but more than likely we'll just use it in Vanguard. If you've noticed, I've slowly but surely been painting up Vanguard stuff. And, okay, here we go. Another Riot Quest model. Now, this guy came in the starter set, and after painting him, he very much looks like something out of Monster Apocalypse with the guard. Should have put some red in there. I like him. His limbs don't look like they can actually house a human, but I think it's more of a comical style sculpt. I could be wrong, and it could be just a straight up automaton. It's not like they don't already exist in War Machine, so what do I know? Unlike his friend here, he actually seems to fill the base a bit better. Let's see. We're still not done. Couple other things. So it wouldn't be a week without me painting yet another Kingdom Death model. So this is the Oktoberfest Aya. She came out okay. Then again, I tend to say that about just about every Kingdom Death model I paint. They turned out okay. Sometimes, I mean, the problem is I see what other people are doing on social media and how amazing of paint jobs they make, but I stand by my paint job. It's done. She's painted. She was attempted to have some highlights in there. Her eyes are painted. So, hooray for me. At least she's painted. We'll say that. I'm happy about that. I do like the fact that it's a little bit different colors than usual for a Kingdom Death model. You guys are so tiny compared to her. Alright, we're almost done here. Let's see, what else? My first actual painted Artel W model, and of all things, an orc. What was your name? Captain Bloodclaw or something, I believe, right? Now, I don't know where his original base or his weird Dunkleosteus head is that he was supposed to be standing on. I lost it, so he's got just a little piece of rubble there. It's funny, I don't really care for a lot of orc sculpts, but it was a lot of fun painting this guy. And I try to keep it under control. So you can see. I put him on a 50mm base. I think he's supposed to be on a 40, and the only reason I put him on a 50 was because I also finished up this guy. They're big mech, and he is big. I mean, he's on a 50mm base, and he kind of has to be. He's just taken up a whole lot of real estate. This dude took me forever. There's just so much going on, and I couldn't leave well enough alone, and I had to just keep doing stuff and colors with all of the gear all over him, and I think I've got every single bolt and screw and strap and buckle and just bit painted on him into its own unique colors. I probably should have put some kind of highlights with the lights, but maybe I still will. Now, the big question is, can I find where I put all of these two, their buddies? They came with a bunch of little grot snotling types, and I have no idea where I put them. There's tons of boxes of bits laying around that have unpainted models in them, and I'm assuming that's probably where they are. So a nice little haul, and I don't mean little, I'm exaggerating obviously, but a cool little pile of stuff painted for the last 2 weeks. And hopefully you guys have been getting stuff painted too. And I will continue to move on with getting my King of War finished from Creature Caster and hopefully some other bits. So stick around and hopefully we will see you back here next week with more weekly painting progress. This has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back then, and hopefully you guys are getting stuff painted too. Bye-bye.